So this is a video full of abandoned locks, restored locks and locks in restoration. It's a great way to see the fantastic work the Grantham Canal Society are doing. Stay tuned. I'm on the Grantham Canal. This is a 20-mile pound behind me. Right in front of us we've got the Woolsthorpe Locks, and this is part of the 33-mile Grantham Canal. What we're here to see is the current work that's been done on the locks up ahead of us where they're being restored, and it's a fantastic place to show you because they are in 3 different stages of restoration up here. So this section here is a 20-mile pound, and it's fed by a reservoir, Nipton I think it's called reservoir. And up above here is fed by another reservoir a bit further up, which you'll see on another video. But this is the first lock, locked 12. There's 11 behind us and 7 up ahead of us. And this is completely abandoned. It's not as bad as some locks, as in to look at now. The canal was abandoned in 1936, I believe it was, but it was kept open due to agriculture. So they kept this while they had to maintain a certain level so there's water for the fields. It's all very flat down here, so they used the canal as a feeder for irrigation. So the locks they weren't destroyed, they weren't filled in, they put weirs in them. And if you look up ahead on this one now, you can see the weir. Now this won't be restored, this lock. They've got issues with it. It's coming away from the bank basically, and it's angled in slightly, I believe, on the top. You can kind of see it on this. You won't see it on this camera because of the curve on the camera. That wall definitely looks like it's bowing in. So this will be a total knockdown and a total rebuild. So this canal is very lucky in the fact that it was used for agriculture. So this is still here. It's not been filled in. The walls haven't been blown in. They haven't been tested by sappers like the Wilts and Berks was. They've not been filled in like the Cotswold was. And the walls haven't been dismantled or filled with rubbish by the farmers like they often were. And that's true of much of this canal, apart from the bridges. The bridges are largely causewayed. This isn't my first time here. I had a bit of a disaster last time I was here. I was up at the other end of here filming drone stuff, and I may have killed my drone. So Mini 3 is now gone, and I now have the Mini 4. So you will see a mixture of footage on this. So if the drone quality is slightly different on the end, I'll be interested to hear, because I actually don't know. It's the same camera, so it should be good. I think the process is better in it. So what you've got on this canal is you've got a Sustrans cycle track runs all the way alongside. Now this was an old railway. I think it was an old mineral line, which is obviously abandoned now. It actually comes onto the towpath here and crosses over because there's a stream culvert under here, which is just down here. There would have been originally a railway bridge across the top here as well. You can kind of see what looks like the edge of an embankment there. And then lock 13 is just up ahead here. So you can't walk down the towpath at the moment because of the works going on, and you can't gain access to the site. So this is a bit of an exclusive here where you can see it. So this is lock 13, and it's the next lock of the Woolsthorpe flight, which is going to be restored. It's currently not funded and will cost approximately £250,000 to £300,000, and it should take a couple of years once funding's in place. They are currently doing enabling works, which includes diverting the water away from the lock. They do this by digging a large trench down the side of the lock, and this is to the left of the towpath, and inside there they put a black pipe, that corrugated pipe through, and they take this from the top where they've already put a bund in place and created a overflow. This is called a bywash on the canal, and also known as a bypass as well. And what that enables them to do is to divert all that water with the bund and run it down to the bottom of the lock. And this means that the lock stays empty and they can do the work. So the other end is also bunded, so the water can't come back in through that way as well. And up here you can see the counterforts. Now the counterforts are like the large brick structures on the edge of the lock wall that you can see on the towpath side here. These are quite rare to be seen. You very rarely see them exposed. The only other place I really know that they are exposed is on the Lichfield Canal, where they have an abandoned lock in the Darnford Moor section, and they have left this lock kind of exposed in the middle and on the sides as a big nature area, and you can see this sort of the lock walls and the counterforts on that one as well. So it's quite cool to see. You very rarely see this. So they act as like an anchor into the ground. They kind of stop the weight of the water pushing back into the bank, but they also kind of anchor into the bank to stop the weight of the mud pushing it over. And also they act as a stability as well, because if you look at like a wall, if you're driving down the road and you've got a long wall to the side of you, that will have little piers all through there which will just give a stronger section of wall which will stop that wall from just pushing over. And you'll also see it in your garage at home. So if you go into your garage, you'll notice you've only got the walls are only 1 block thick, and you will have little piers every so often, and it's doing exactly the same thing. It's holding that wall up to stop that sort of skin of wall that's too narrow to take much weight from falling over. It saves putting in a double skin. In a lock, obviously there's a lot of weight coming from that ground, and it was before the years of sort of Gabe in baskets and stuff like that, so they needed to really strengthen these things up, and that's how they did them. And they're pretty big. The lock walls themselves are usually around 8 or more courses of bricks, so you'll have them going in different directions, so you have them side to side and end to end on top of each other, and that helps tie it all in. Then you've got these bigger counterforts on the sides, so there's already a huge amount of structure there holding that soil back before the counterforts are needed to support that weight. And if you see a lock further up in a minute, the original lock had to be completely rebuilt because the counterforts had split away from the lock wall, so you can see the tremendous amount of pressure that these locks are under. So the lock at the moment is in the early stages of enabling works, and this includes the bits we just said about the pipes and stuff, but it also includes inspections to see how the walls are, if they're secure, if they're leaning, if they're coming away from the counterforts, and all stuff like that. So they are going to need some funding soon. So if you are local and want to get involved, if you're a local business and want to donate some money to it, or if you know of any funds coming up, then please do contact the society. Your memberships also help. So with funding, you are looked at by how many members you've got, how many people support your cause. So the more members that you've got for a society or a trust, then the more likely you are to get money when the funding rounds come along. It makes it a lot easier to apply for these things. Your monthly fee, although small, plays a massive role in restoring these projects.
So you can just see the old dam that was in place when we did 14. We're now standing at the bottom gate section at Lock 14. This was completed by our volunteers back in 2021. It took about 2 to 3 years to build. We built on the experience that we had on Lock 15 and brought in some design detail differences which enabled us to do the work in a better and a quicker time. This was a complete rebuild, so the lock walls taken down and completely rebuilt from bottom of the lock upwards.
So the walls were there, they were bowed in on the top?
The offside wall had collapsed.
Okay.
The towpath side wall was in a state that we couldn't use it, so it was taken down and completely rebuilt. The counterforts on the side were not tied into the lock wall. It was part of the Lock 15-14 Heritage Lottery funded option, which was put together by the Canal and River Trust and the Grantham Canal Society. It was lottery funded to the tune of just under £850,000. You've got to understand that the total cost of the two locks, locks 14 and 15, was in the region of 1.5 million. In addition to that, over £750,000 worth of volunteer time was put into the building of these locks. These things would just not happen without volunteer labour putting time and effort in. Volunteer labour came from a multitude of people who were doctors, dentists, solicitors, accountants, RAF personnel, construction personnel. They were enabled to carry out the work here by a series of training, from excavator training, dumper training, bricklayer training. Obviously we had a number of professional construction people as well who were able to sort of train our not so proficient volunteers.
It's a cracking way to learn a new skill, isn't it? It's a cracking
way to learn a new skill, absolutely. And all power to them. Fantastic effort in what they have actually constructed here and up 15 further up. If you're local and you want to join up with the Grantham Canal Society, we've got a lot of work on. Go onto our website and you'll see all the necessary information to get in touch with us.
And it's not just muddy boots either, is it?
It's not just muddy boots either.
Yeah.
You know, from a mental well-being as well. There's a lot to be gained from, you know, the camaraderie that is around.
You were saying about the health and well-being, the mental health side of things of the canal trusts and the societies all doing this work. Being outdoors in the fresh air and doing stuff and meeting people is really good. And actually nowadays, doctors can prescribe volunteer time.
They can.
And I think it's a fantastic thing that we've gone in this country from just throwing pills at everything to actually trying to find the root cause of these problems. And, you know, look at this here. I mean, today's a bit of a patchy day with weather, but it's absolutely beautiful. You're out in the beautiful.
You can see Belvvoir Castle in the
just over there. You won't see it on this camera, but it stands right on the hillside, overlooks the canal.
That's mental well-being is important, and getting out into the countryside, getting out and meeting people and talking to people. And we say to our volunteers, just come down and meet up with us, have a coffee, see what we do.
So I'm going to carry on walking up now. I'm going to go to lock 15, and then we're going to go to 16, 17 and 18, which is the top of this flight. So I'm going to leave Tony here, and he's got a day's work. He's been very kind to come and talk to us today, so thank you very much. And I'll see you up at the next lock. So this is lock 15, and as I said, it was built roughly the same time as the lock below. Work started on this in 2015, and again was part of a National Lottery Heritage Grant. It was CRT funded and also from the Canal Trust themselves, and they had some legacy money involved in this as well. You can still see on the other side there they've got some of the original coping stones which they've used, so you do reuse as much as you can in these things. The brickwork in there looks like the older brickwork and the newer brickwork in there. So Canal Trusts, they're always trying to save money, and one of the things they like to do is to reuse stuff. So bricks are generally cleaned, and anything decent is used on the face, and anything that's not so good but still good enough will be used in the wall behind. And then there'll be a certain amount of new bricks and a certain amount of new coping stones cast out concrete on the top, like these ones are. So up ahead of here is a half-mile panel which leads up to the rest of the canal and the rest of the lock flight. There's 3 more locks up there which we'll pop over and see. So here we are at the top of the flight, and the first thing you're going to see across here is a red brick building and a slipway. Now the red brick building is the old carpenter's workshop, and where those green containers are, there used to be another building across there. And you've got the slipway here, which is where they do maintenance on their boats, and you've got rails on this one going down through, so it's a nice easy way. You've got like a trolley that goes in the bottom, and then it picks a boat and pulls the boat up. There's a video recently by Cruising the Cut who did quite a bit on this little compound, so I won't go too hard into it because it's only just been done, but it is a really lovely little area and well worth a watch if you haven't seen the video yet. So then we're on to lock 16. Now this and the 3 above were originally restored in 1994. There was a boat rally on there, I think it's a trail boat rally, and they did the gates and stuff and sorted the locks out. I don't believe they were in too bad a condition, so not a lot of work was needed on these. They look great. They're used, I believe. They bring boats up and down here quite a bit. There is some work going on up above at the moment as well, which we'll get to in a second. But this is slightly different to the locks below. The spillway runs around the side, around where that metal fence is across there and down to the bottom. So this right here is where my drone died, in that tree there. I believe I was panning across here and I didn't see it go into it. Really bad drone management by me. Just take a slight silence now for that drone. That'll do. And we've got the mucky, I always call this wrong, I think it's the Mucky Duck Public House, but just there. It's closed at the moment for refurbishment. They've got a campsite and stuff here, so if you want to come up and stay here, it's a lovely spot to stay with a castle up above and all these walks all the way around here. And on to 61. First off, actually you can see the bridge over there, so that's that railway line coming back in that we discussed earlier, and we'll get more onto that in a second. So this bridge has obviously been repaired. You've got a much darker blue, almost black bricks on here, which is normally railway company territory. And then on the back end of this, which is less exposed on this side, I'd assume, you've got the rope marks and stuff, which you normally get and then we're into lock 17. So right now this is going to overlap with a video that's coming soon on this end of the canal. Like I said, I started recording when I came back and got a new drone from Grantham at the other end. I walked back down to here and started filming that video here. So there's a bit of info about the locks in that video, but I'll just go into what's happening here now. So you can see the pound between 17 and 18 is currently empty. They're working on the locks on this one. You can see how much water's coming through. They're very leaky. And they're working on the paddles on lock 18 as well. Up here we have the mineral railway again, and this was an embankment across here, and as the canal was abandoned it was just filled in. So they managed to dig this embankment out. So what happened, there was originally a bridge here, and when the bridge became unsound they replaced it with an embankment, and the Canal Society had quite a bit of trouble here actually. When they eventually agreed to have it removed, the original plan, British Rail wanted to keep the line ready if it was ever to be reused. They were basically told that if they were to remove this embankment, if the railway was ever to be reinstated, they'd have to foot a bill for £1.5 million to replace the bridge. Now obviously the Canal Society don't have the funds to do that, so it took the stepping in of Quinton Davies, who's the MP, and a more favourable solution was found. So this was dug out all by volunteers. The local farmers helped as well, removing sort of 10 tonnes at a time. It took 3 weeks with 600 tonnes a day of soil being removed from here, and you can see that's the old line up there, which they've dug a path down through. The mineral line itself closed in 1977, and the tracks have been removed by the 80s. So it's quite a weird thing for the British Railways to kind of insist on that bridge being put into place. And there were no more mines. It was a quarry that had ceased to operate in 1974. There was actually no need for the line at all. And then this is the final lock on the Grantham Canal, lock 18. It's bunded off at the moment at the top, like I said, and all the water's been sent around the spillway. This was actually restored in 2008. So although it was open and working in 94, they actually came back and completely restored it, and new gates were put on in 2013. There's regular boat trips that run from here. It takes you up towards Grantham. It's a lovely trip, the Three Shires boat trip. So that's the bun look, you can see. So it's a load of stop planks with, they've got a tarp pooling over it, and quite often they put like a bit of clay in behind it to try and stop water running through it. It's just really great to see. This video should highlight it, just how much work the volunteers do. And like I say, it's not just muddy boots, it's people behind the scenes getting funding, which is needed here. So if you've got a bit of spare cash, or you're a local business that wants to support the trust, please do get in touch with them. But it's all of this work that the volunteers do on the ground as well. The digging out of these locks, the rebuilding, you know, from people who are probably relatively inexperienced at this when they come on to start volunteering. And you've now got this fantastic stretch of canal, which, if the other end can be done, could be connected, you know, in a relatively decent amount of time. And once 13 and 12 are done, you're all the way down to lock 11, which has been restored, just no gates, and the rest of the locks through, which you'll see on another video as well. So please do keep an eye out for the Grantham videos, and please do support the trust. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.